is Wednesday. I think on Friday we'll have kirtan, and if we can get ingredients, we may make some halava. Or not, it just depends. What do you think about the halava, Mother Radha Radhanath? You like the idea of having halava though? You'll take some, yeah? Okay. And what do you think, Mother Prema Gali? Atheist. You're an atheist. And what do you think? Don't tell me. You're okay. But, I mean, do you like it? Will you have it? Or is it just sort of, you know? Okay, Friday. Well, yeah, I'll just have to check my program, but there should be time. Otherwise, I'll tell them how to do it. Yeah, I got time. Sort of. You what? Oh. Well, I can give you a recipe. I can give you a recipe. After the class, yeah. Right. So devotees. And what do you think about halava Friday night? Oh, sure. Will you take a little if we make halava, or better not? Yeah. Yeah, what? Yes, I will. Okay. But a little. Yeah. Yeah. And you? Yes, I'll take some. 2 cups. The thing is, when I dished out the second time around, Pushpa had some in a cup, and I thought she didn't like it. But later on, she told me she was saving for her sister. She liked it so much, she actually wanted more. Oh. So yeah, so I'll get, yeah, so she'll definitely also take. Okay. Hare Krishna. Welcome. Right, let's see where we're up to. Oops. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschitya Shatarne Sri Krishna Chaitanya Pramunityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyas cha kripas sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Okay, so right, so it's 1969. Have we moved on? Oh no, okay, it's 1969. Yeah. It's 1969, May the 21st. Prabhupada's been traveling around visiting different
centers, and gradually more and more Hare Krishna devotees. Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu, Segi Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Will you two be all right if we have a kirtan on Friday evening? And will you be all right if we serve halava afterwards? It's okay. No objection. Okay. So, right. Prabhupada's been traveling around. He was in Columbus, Ohio last at the university there, Ohio State. And in that hall, Hitchcock Hall, there were about 2,000 students who just got into it. Oh yeah, and Prabhupada was really happy. But now it's a few days later. That was, what was that, May the 9th. Now it's May 21st. Srila Prabhupada is now in New Vrindavan. Yeah, which I think is not so far from Columbus, but no, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Okay, so accompanied by Kirtanananda Swami and Hayagriva, Prabhupada then traveled from Columbus to New Vrindavan Farm Project in the hills of West Virginia. When their car got stuck in a neighbor's garden near the entrance to the property, Prabhupada decided to walk the final 2 miles along the muddy access road that led to the farm. The road soon ended, however, and Prabhupada and his 2 guides picked up a footpath entering the dense forest. The mid-May trees were still coming into foliage, and the sunlight broke through the branches to a carpet of brilliant purple phlox. Okay, it's a new word, phlox. Prabhupada walked quickly ahead of Kirtanananda Swami and Hayagriva, who hurried to keep up. A winding creek repeatedly crossed the path, and Prabhupada would cross by stepping from stone to stone. The road, he said, would not be difficult to travel by ox cart. The forest was like a jungle, just as he had expected and wanted. For the past year, Prabhupada had corresponded with Kirtanananda Swami and Hayagriva concerning New Vrindavan, and this correspondence had established the direction for Krishna-conscious country living. Prabhupada had said he wanted the community based on Vedic ideals, everyone living simply, keeping cows and working the land. The devotees would have to develop these ideas gradually. It would take time. But even in the beginning, the keynote should be simple living and high thinking. Because the community would remain completely aloof from the city, it would at first appear inconvenient and austere, but life would be peaceful, free from the anxieties of the artificial urban society based on hard work for sense gratification. And most important, the members of such a community would be serving Krishna and chanting his name. Prabhupada spoke little, making his way along the path as if at his home. They stopped beside the creek, and Prabhupada sat down on a blanket Kirtanananda Swami and Hayagriva spread for him on the grass. "We're stopping for Kirtanananda," Prabhupada said. "He is tired." Yeah, well, Kirtanananda had, well, you know, you get these people with one leg shorter than the other. You know what I mean? In the Indian community, you get. He had one leg shorter than the other. I think he had had polio when he was young, but he had one leg shorter than the other. So, you know, such things would be difficult for him. As they rounded a curve in the road, Prabhupada could see a clearing on the ridge ahead. A small frame house and a barn stood at the lower end of the ridge. These two ancient structures, Hayagriva explained, were the only buildings on New Vrindavan's 120 acres. As no vehicles travelled here, the paths were overrun with high grass. A willow spread its branches close by the old house. The settlement was the picture of undisturbed, primitive life. Prabhupada liked the simple life at New Vrindavan, and whatever simple thing the devotees offered him, he accepted with satisfaction. They served him freshly ground wheat cereal cooked in milk, and he said it was wonderful. When he saw the kitchen's dirt floor covered with cow dung, he approved, saying it was just like in an Indian village. Prabhupada also liked his room in the attic, directly above the temple room. He brought out the small Radha Krishna deities he had been traveling with for the last month and a half, and had his servant, Devananda, improvise an altar on a small table to one side of the room, arranging his two trunks as a desk, and placing a picture of his spiritual master on one of the trunks. Prabhupada immediately resumed his usual schedule. He would take his late morning massage sitting outside, and then bathe with warm water in an improvised outdoor shower stall. Kirtanananda Swami prepared Prabhupada's usual lunch of dal, rice, and chapatis, plus some local pokeweed. Anyway, it's some sort of leafy vegetable. Like, I don't know, are you familiar? You don't get it much here. Do you get it at all? Stinging nettles? Yeah? You know stinging nettles? It's it's like a leafy thing. It's a weed. Are you familiar with stinging nettles? Yeah, if you brush against it, your skin. Yeah, it definitely, you definitely feel it. You can make a sabji out of it. Yeah, I've had sabji. Really? Well, the younger stinging nettles, you know, as they get older, it gets kind of harder. But, you know, I wouldn't it's not so nice, to be quite honest. I've had it a few times. But, it's okay. It's okay. And you can cook it. You have to cook it. And it takes the sting out. There's no sting at all. And it's like a type of spinach, you could say. All right. Right. So, pokeweed. I don't know what pokeweed is. The previous summer, Caitanya Swami and Hayagriva had picked and canned blackberries, which they now served Prabhupada as blackberry chutney. When we were doing Padayatra in England, it was during the summer, and you get blackberries just growing wild just along the country roads, and we would just pick them. Okay, the chapatis were from freshly milled whole wheat, and everything was cooked over a wood fire. The best fuel for cooking, Prabhupada said, was cow dung. Wood was second, gas third, and electricity last. Prabhupada spent much of the day out of doors under a persimmon tree about 100 feet from the house. There he would sit and read at a low table one of the men had built. Often he would look up from his reading and gaze across the deep valley to the distant ridge where the forest met the sky. In the late afternoon, devotees would gather under the persimmon tree with Prabhupada, sitting and talking with him until after sunset. They saw Prabhupada's living with them as a practical demonstration of New Vrindavan's importance. If he, the greatest devotee, could be satisfied living simply and chanting Hare Krishna in this backwoods setting, then they should follow his example. Comparing New Vrindavan to the Vrindavan in India, Prabhupada said that New Vrindavan was in some ways better, since Vrindavan, India, was now congested with worldly men. Oh, you wouldn't believe it, on weekends, Saturday and Sunday. It's too much. And on Kartik Purnima, you can't go outside, just stay inside. Right. 500 years ago, the Goswami followers of Lord Caitanya had excavated the sites of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, and only pure devotees had lived there. But in recent years, Vrindavan had become a place for materialists and impersonalists. New Vrindavan, however, would admit only the spiritually inclined. In Vedic society, Prabhupada said, everyone had been satisfied to live like this, in a small village beside a river. Factories were unnecessary. Prabhupada wanted this Vedic way of life for the entire world, and New Vrindavan could serve as a model for the benefit of the masses. New Vrindavan had no phone, and mail had to be fetched by a 2-mile walk. In this, Prabhupada said, New Vrindavan was like Vrindavan, India. Both Vrindavans lacked in modern amenities. This difficulty, however, coupled well with the Vaishnava philosophy that modern amenities were not worth the trouble required to get them. A devotee, accepting whatever nature provides, spends his time and energy in spiritual life. New Vrindavan's only cow was a black and white crossbreed named Kalia. And Prabhupada would drink a little of her milk morning, noon, and night. I haven't tasted milk like this in 65 years, he said. One day he predicted New Vrindavan would have many cows, and their udders would be so full that the dripping milk would muddy the pastures. You know, I've seen when we're on Padayatra, cows and the milk's just dripping from them. Yeah, it's a really nice sight. Although people in the West were blind to their great sin of cow slaughter and its grievous karmic reactions, he said, New Vrindavan would demonstrate to the world the social, moral, and economic advantages of protecting the cow and utilizing her milk rather than killing her and eating her flesh. Prabhupada wanted the New Vrindavan devotees to build cottages. He wanted many buildings, even if at first they were primitive, and he gave a plan for a simple structure of baked mud. He also wanted a Krishna-conscious school, and the country, he said, would be the best place for it. The city is made by man, and the country is made by God, Prabhupada said, paraphrasing the British poet Kalpa. The young students should learn reading, writing, and arithmetic, and at the same time, they should become pure devotees. In their play, they could imitate the pastimes of Krishna and his cowherd boyfriends, with one child massaging Krishna, another wrestling with Krishna, just as in the spiritual world. Sorry. The women in New Vrindavan, Prabhupada said, should care for the children, clean the temple, cook for the deities, and churn butter. He had many plans for New Vrindavan, and he was giving only idea seeds with few details. You develop it to your heart's content, he told Caitanya Swami. An ideal Vedic community with the members producing all their own food and necessities was what Prabhupada wanted. Yeah, you know, when we were in Cato Ridge, the Radharadhanath was in Cato Ridge. Oh, you must have been in Cato Ridge. No? After. In Cato Ridge, we had this devotee, Gaura Hari. I'm sure you remember Gaura Hari. I haven't seen him since that time. Have you seen him? Yeah, and he was growing things for us. And we, as much as possible, would only use the vegetables he'd grow. But the thing was, he would focus, often at least he would focus on one particular vegetable, and we'd end up eating. I remember vividly brinjal, breakfast, lunch, and supper. Brinjal in this way, brinjal in that way. Oh yeah, a festival of brinjal. Unless the devotees at New Vrindavan could become self-sufficient, he said, there was no use in their occupying such a big piece of land. It's very interesting. It was inevitable that Prabhupada leave New Vrindavan. Letters from London, Los Angeles, and San Francisco compelled him to travel. On the day of his departure, the New Vrindavan devotees teased him, saying he couldn't go. Caitanya Swami went so far as to say they would block his way on the road. But Prabhupada corrected him. You cannot do that to the spiritual master. Accompanied by Caitanya Swami and the New Vrindavan devotees, Prabhupada walked along the forest path. The New Vrindavan countryside was verdant, the summer air hot and moist. Prabhupada was silent. He'd come here to encourage his disciples, and he himself had also become encouraged. Here was simple village life. Here was simple village life as Krishna himself had lived it. Depending on the land and the cow. That cow, Kaliya, had given such nice milk. New Vrindavan's cows were not ordinary. They knew they would not be killed. So far only a few devotees were here, but by Krishna's grace, more would come. Prabhupada and Caitanya Swami walked along the forest path, saying little, but their mutual understanding was deep. Prabhupada hadn't given him any specific instructions. A few words while sitting or walking together outdoors, a gesture, a facial expression of pleasure or concern. Caitanya Swami could understand, however, that New Vrindavan was very dear to his spiritual master and should become dear to him also. Prabhupada assured him that because the devotees of New Vrindavan were centered on chanting Hare Krishna, serving the deities and protecting the cows, Krishna would bless them with success. The community was already successful, and Krishna would continue to protect the devotees against all impediments and difficulties. At the end of the 2-mile walk, Prabhupada, surrounded by his followers, stood beside the car that was to take him to the airport in Pittsburgh, from where he would fly to Los Angeles. His suitcases, which had come out on a horse-drawn cart, were loaded into the car's luggage compartment, and Prabhupada got in the back seat. Amid cries of Hare Krishna and Prabhupada, the car pulled out onto the country highway, and Prabhupada continued chanting Hare Krishna on his beads. Well, okay. Okay, I think we'll conclude here for this evening. We'll continue tomorrow because it changes now. They go to London. Hare Krishna. Any comments or question or words of wisdom Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu. Have I? Yeah. I went to New Vrindavan. You know, honestly, I forget exactly, but it was, I'd say 10 years ago, something like that. That we had GBC meetings there. Yeah. Of course, it was very different to what it was like at this time. They've got guest houses and things. But yeah, I've been there twice. That time, and I went in 78. TK. No. They're in, what's the place? Gita Nagari. They're in charge there. I've been there a couple of times, Gita Nagari. But before, I think before they were there. Yeah, before they were there.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Here we see that Prabhupada was very favorable to this project. In one sense, it's kind of a secluded place though, and there's maybe an apparent contradiction to the mood that he carried from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj.
Yeah, well, that's it.
How should we understand it, and what are considerations if one maybe is considering to go there, or, you know?
Yeah, the thing is, you know, Prabhupada didn't see it as just like a country place to relax. He saw it as, from the point of view of preaching, he really saw it like that. That people, that first of all the devotees would live as Krishna lived and become self-sufficient. And this is like an important thing for teaching lessons to the public. Plus, he wanted the cows protected. He wanted to demonstrate cow protection and simple living and high thinking. He wanted to demonstrate those for people who would come. So in other words, it's very different from just a country place where people come to relax. Oh, yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, the cow, Kalia, would she have gotten special spiritual, how can I say, make spiritual progress because she served Srila Prabhupada with her milk?
Yes, absolutely. No doubt at all. She'd at least be born as a devotee next time around. You know, you never know, maybe she'd go back to Godhead, but one would think more likely to be born as a devotee. Yeah. Any other comments or questions, devotees?
Maharaj, we're talking about devotees practicing, being vegans, and we offer milk products to the deities, and the prasadam is non-different from Krishna. So they, I'll see lots of devotees don't take that Mahaprasadam. Is that constitutes an offense, or is it?
I would say that at least borderline offense, because Mahaprasadam is Mahaprasadam.
Prasadam, yeah.
Yeah. It's so special. And of course, the whole vegan thing is, in many respects is a real misconception. The actual vegans themselves. Yeah. In that they deny completely using any milk or dairy products. And yeah, of course, they have not understood yet. I read, I don't know, a year or something ago, one article about someone, not a devotee, raising the point that, okay, we don't want to abuse animals, but what about abusing the vegetables? And the fact is, the vegetables have as much right to live as the animals. Yeah. So the point, their point of not abusing the animals, that's sort of their basic point, is, it's nice, but nothing, including that, will really help anyone unless they become Krishna conscious. It'll end up, as Bhagavatam says, is it 128, I think, Shrama eva hi kevalam, just a useless waste of time. Yeah. So, the best thing, actually, is to use ahimsa milk. That's the best thing. But if you can't get it, I know Vibhu Caitanya Prabhu really wanted to start developing ahimsa milk. His directions changed to some degree now, so I don't know if he's still into it. But, ahimsa milk, that's really the thing. Yes. But even just the ordinary milk from the shop, even though it's produced under abusive conditions, really, ultimately they just kill the cows when they're not producing enough. So, but still, the milk is being offered to Krishna. And even if you say, as I read a few years ago, a devotee was saying that, they milk so many cows, and when you have a cup of milk, there's probably only, or there may be only one drop per cow in it. So, what's the benefit to the cow of one drop? Well, there is a benefit. There's definitely a benefit. As Srila Jiva Goswami says, it's not directly the same thing, but it's just interesting. He says that even though Krishna is so great, he's like an unlimited ocean, but still he never forgets even the smallest drop of service. Yeah. So even if it's true that when you have a cup of milk, that it's just many, many drops from, 1,000 cows or something like that. And you might say, well, what's a drop going to help? But it helps. People people have had prasadam like, one peanut or something, something like that. But it's immensely beneficial. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, of course, was not stupid at all. So he knew what the cows were going through. It's not that he didn't know. But still he would, the ordinary cows, but still he would take milk. And he always said, we have to cook for the deities using ghee and other dairy products. So Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Gumash. I got a question, but it's not related to Prabhupada lilamrita. Regarding Keturij, how was Keturij temple, was a big temple at Keturij.
Oh, Cato Ridge.
Was it a big temple at those days?
It was the biggest in South Africa. It's probably the biggest in Africa. We had at the most, it was up to a little over 40 devotees, I think 45, something like that. And Nitai Gaura Hari were there, being worshipped very nicely. And Mother Radha Radhanath was cooking for them and making amazing Mahaprasadam. True. And I think it was 50 acres, if I remember correctly. I think it was 50 acres, which is, it's not a small piece of land. Yeah. And we had 30, at least, in the end, it got up to about 30 cows and bullocks. Yeah. That was nice. Temple room was built. Temple room was bigger than this room. Substantial. And it was nice. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.